Hello. Hi, Leah.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Okay. So, a lot of things to share today.
Yeah.
So, hi, Leah. We had a good
What
conversation
can I bring
yesterday.
you today?
Let's see here. Hmm, It's a very different change of pace for this week from the past three. So, I have a lot more visuals to share. So, that hopefully will also be part of the changing pace. Uh, and let's see here. Have either of you had a chance to look at some of the videos or the readings yet? A little
Yeah, a
bit.
couple of videos, the first reading, the shorter reading.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I'm going to make this independent of that, so it's kind of like an introduction, which should be good.
Same here for the shorter reading.
Yeah, from maybe that was from representation to performance, maybe that one. Okay. So let me see if we can run this video. Yes, and hi Tanya, welcome back. So now let me right away share this video of work done over many years from the Topological Media Lab now in Montreal, and also some work from synthesis at ASU to give you like in one frame a snapshot of some of the kinds of environments that people have been building, experiments that people have been building. And then we'll come back to it. We'll work our way back to this context. Um, but let's see here. All right. So yeah, there's no sound here. Um, okay, so different from the previous 3 weeks where it's been more science oriented and it's particularly oriented toward biology, I wanted to bring in another set of perspectives to complement it, coming from art and performance and media arts, media study, media philosophy, movement, gesture, sound, that's kind of world. So I'll come back here. Okay. And but first to motivate it. So one story is like, if any of you have tried to play a musical instrument, uh, or to just learn to do something that involves skill, physical skill, like riding a bike or skiing, uh, there's only so much we can, well, we can learn something abstract by reading about it or watching a video, right? But there's no substitute for actually picking it up the instrument and playing it itself. To really learn how to play it. And same thing goes for whatever, skiing, swimming, right? And this is this idea of performativity, that the mastery of this kind of skilled knowledge, this kind of how-to comes through performing, practicing, doing it. So that's one of the key motivations for this week's readings is how do we, right? And how can we learn how to navigate, to make sense of things, to navigate complex situations in a way that's not just mediated through a picture, a diagram, some text about the situation. Or how do we actually get into the situation ourselves, embedded inside those situations. And of course, since this course is about infrastructures and ecosystems and environments, that's a big challenge. It's one thing to pick up a music instrument that's smaller than you, right? It's a whole other to pick up a whole hydroelectric power plant, and get inside it. And that's not even the entire part of the power infrastructure. We just live in our houses and plug things into the wall, most of us. So it's a big deal. I mean, of course, we mediate through experts. So that's been a really, really big challenge for people in complexity studies. who are also interested in democratic forms of governance. Both. I just came out of a meeting, in fact, just a few minutes ago, where there's a bunch of us at ASU who are working with the National Center for Atmospheric Research. And it's a National Science Foundation funded project to, I think I mentioned this before, to glue together these world scale climate models, or rather weather and climate models, together with social dynamics models, models of what individuals and agencies and nation states can do to to mitigate climate change using geoengineering techniques like whitening the clouds or brightening the sea ice, instead of really gigantic projects, right? But the issue there is, who gets to do that? Who gets to decide what happens when things, well, if, let's say, when things go not as predicted, what happens? What do we do? And who takes care of things? These are really gigantic questions, and so so this course is tied into that ongoing work as well. Okay, so let's go back to music and dance and theater. Where does that come in? All right. So I apologize to those of you who've seen some of these together, but maybe second time around, there's also a chance for more thoughts and questions. All right. I'm going to show some slides which lay out the case for not just the use of some of these creative techniques, performative techniques, or media techniques for discourse, like infrastructure, but just in general. All right. So let me start. Yeah. So screen. Okay. So so we talk about in university we talk about doing research, meaning creating knowledge, right? But what's knowledge has changed a lot over the centuries, and this is something I use to justify the techniques that we bring in from the arts and from media arts. Okay, but just to make it brief, if you look back over just European history, there was knowledge that people used to think came from either God, the church, right, from the Bible, or from the Greeks. But around the time of the Renaissance and early Renaissance, we have some major figures like Machiavelli who said, look, you don't have to just look at what Aristotle or Plato said about the way to run a city. Why don't we just look at how people run cities today? Today meaning 15th century Italy. Okay, look at how Venice is run. Look at how Florence is run. Look at how Pisa is run, and they were run differently. Different. Some were run by tyrants, and some were run by associations of the richest merchants of the city. That was Venice. Along with the kind of CEO type, okay, chief of the board type, the Doge. So that was Machiavelli, okay. But then with Galileo, it's different. This is for modern science. Galileo said, well, knowledge, you look at the stars. You build a telescope, you look up there in the sky. Don't just read what Aristotle said or Archimedes even. Look up in the sky with your own eyes. Well, actually, not your own eyes. Use instruments. This is kind of the notion of building your own scientific instrument to extend your sensorium, to extend to sense the nature more than what your own senses can tell you, right? And then you might discover things you never that the classics never told us about. But then you'd have to come up with a new theory, and that's how you combine theory, instruments, and phenomena. They go together. So I think being really could be really good here. Okay. But the question is, what about today? Okay, what about now, 21st century? Now, what kinds of knowledge do we need now? And since we live in engineering age, I say, well, especially in America, we're a very pragmatic country. So it's about not just what we can understand, but what can we do, right? What can we make and what can we do differently? So that's what I mean by pragmatic. Okay, which brings it full circle, right, back to performance again, I think. Hi, Stephen. It's okay for now. All right. So that's kind of the preamble. And then what about synthesis, the synthesis center that I started when I came to ASU in 2013, 2014? Well, why is it called synthesis? So now I'll ask a question. Anybody recognize this as one of the most famous science experiments in Western science? And those of you who weren't around yesterday, I want to talk about what this picture represents. This is one of the most famous bits of physics that was done. Let's see. Here. Maybe you've done it yourself in high school or elementary school. Anybody want to guess what this picture is showing? Other than Tanya, I guess.
I don't know the experiment itself, but yeah, I was about to say the refraction of light. Like, I don't know what the original experiment was.
Yeah, that's what it was. This is Isaac Newton. It goes back to Isaac Newton. So like what, 500, 400, 500 years ago, 400 years ago plus. Uh, so Isaac Newton is the guy who, right, invented calculus and, well, one of the guys who invented calculus and gravity, right? But he also did a major work on optics and the founder of modern optics. And according to the story, history, he managed to get a very coherent beam of white light, shine it through the glass prism, and lo and behold, came out as a rainbow. Okay, so this is kind of the one of the other origin stories for modern science, but I use it as a metaphor. I say, because you say if you want, so the idea was if you want to understand what's going on in the world, you try to understand some aspect of it, like understand the world as a biologist, or even more especially as an ornithologist, like about birds, or maybe understand the world as an economist, or understand the world as a map maker. So these are all specialties, right? And they have their own disciplines. And a lot of craft and skill and knowledge and history goes into these different kinds of practices. And the hope is to get all these experts back together again. We can put them all together and we get a whole understanding of the universe. And that's been the dream of modern science in Europe since 400 or 500 years, 500 years. We've gone pretty far, right? Just the fact I can speak to you guys through Zoom is an amazing effect of this kind of the power of specialization and then recomposition of special knowledge. When I think about it, what are we using here, right? I mean, all the specialties. It's glass makers and electronics engineers, signal processing. So this divide and conquer technique is very powerful. And at the bottom of that, if you take the world and put it into little pieces, you know, but I just ask you, if you want to look at the world either as an economist or a scientist or, um, you know, um, a teacher, let's say, want to teach kids about the world, and somebody asks you what the world is made of, in its basic components. There are different ways to answer that, right? There's no one way. But what are some of the basic components that you would say the world is made of? Any of you? Light, light refracting. Yeah, that's from the previous pictures. Thanks, Stephen. So I'm asking, what about the basic building blocks? You might say, there are different kinds of building blocks, right? But what are some of the building blocks that we point to these days?
Soil, light, and water.
Water, and then water is made of more fundamentally
Right. Molecules of
molecules,
certain.
atoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the physics way. What about some other ways of thinking or looking at the world in terms of fundamental building blocks? Not just in physics now. Let's go in addition to physics.
Interactions between people are probably something people think about a lot, like how
For
people
social
relate to each
theory,
other. Yeah, and also that is like economics and you know, how we exchange things with each other.
So there, the transaction might be a building block, and then we have goods and services being transacted for at prices. Goods, services, economic agents. Okay, building blocks. Sorry about the noise. Okay, so let's take another one, maybe another category. What's another category? And then what will be some fundamental building blocks with another category?
Ecologically, I'm thinking about like food chains and metabolisms. Like that is another way that people think about, yeah, as well as like species interactions. But I'm also kind of putting metabolism in with that.
And we're just furnished with a bunch of readings about that. And what would be the kind of elements, kind of basic elements for a biology, for biologists? What are some kinds of building blocks that they have?
Cells.
Organisms?
Yeah. Organs.
Organisms, and DNA, right?
Yes.
The
Good
classic
at it.
example of DNA, the alphabet, right? Um, don't be shy about it. Even if I'm banging on DNA, which I do. It is still the case. That's called the central dogma of molecular biology. That is, all our traits, unimportant traits, and capacities come from our genotype. That's what's called the central dogma of molecular biology, which is being dismantled right now as we speak, but it still is. So these are all building blocks. And then think about it. If we have physicists say, hey, wait a minute, building blocks are quarks and leptons and muons, and then we have things built out of that. And then somebody else says, well, the basic building blocks are, transactions, economic transactions. It seems like they're really quite different, aren't they? I mean, they're like they just pass through each other. They're not like they're just really different. They're both in force, but they don't seem to describe the same kinds of realities. And then Stephen was talking about evolution, moral philosophy. Now, I don't know, Stephen, you have audio or not, but in terms of, let's say, morality, can we think about what are the building blocks of moral code? I mean, what would be the building blocks of a moral, or anyone, like a moral code? Cameron, we're talking about building blocks right now, Cameron. So hard to say, but it might be the laws, right? The 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. Maybe one could say that those are the building blocks of a moral code based on biblical injunctions, right? So that's one possibility. But again, my point is that they seem to be really incommensurate with one another, and you can't build one set out of the other. They're just incommensurate, which might suggest that there is no universal fundamental building block, which goes back to this diagram here, which I'm going to share screen again. Sorry about the noise. Is that this idea of divide and conquer way to approach understanding the world may be inadequate. Okay, that's my basic point. Social norms. Okay, Leo's going to say social norms. Thanks to Leo. And agreements. Absolutely. All right. So synthesis. I started synthesis. Sorry. The name of synthesis was just to say, look, maybe we can reverse Isaac Newton's famous experiment. We took white light and out popped, colored the rainbow. Instead, suppose we can bring together disciplines and practitioners, people, ways of thinking from not just from sciences, but from any kind of area where skillful practice, skillful thinking, can be deployed. And then what happens if we have a place for these kinds of groups of people to come together and produce bundles of practice and ways of thinking that we can use to understand problems that we can't necessarily solve by any one technique, okay? Just can't. So I think maybe what I can do is try to jump a little bit here, okay? Earlier today, I talked about how important it was to be able to think about actually doing something in addition to looking at a representation of that activity, like learning a musical instrument. And then this idea of what does it mean to look at something? Well, it's not just the senses, what you see, what you touch, what you taste, right? And here I'm going to use this example. We were doing work in this responsive environment, which right now it doesn't seem very responsive right now. It's just 13 tons of sand on the floor, okay? So when you walk across the floor, it felt under the foot as if you're walking on a beach, sort of, right? But the sand, why do we took 3 days to wheelbarrow in 13 tons of sand into a theater space. Here's the theater space right here, okay? But the reason for doing that was to defamiliarize what we took for granted. Like defamiliarize the floor, defamiliarize the air. Here we throw some sand into the air, out of light in the air, in the very air itself, on the floor, on the walls. And the walls appears as the body. On the floor appears like liquid. In the air, it's like a cloud. Right? And the sound is produced in real time by optical flow tracking of every individual particle of sand. That's really remarkable. So we gave the air, in a sense, a voice. So that anything like the boom of light and the boom of sound. So there's no recording here, okay? Nothing is recorded. There's no video, no sound is pre-recorded. So that means anything you do, any kind of gesture, and not just even gestures of people, but any kind of object or particle, like we throw a rope across the floor, or we could throw basketballs, or people could bring chairs, which they did, and have a meeting there. Would have accompanying fields of sound, texture, light, spatial audio, blooming that would give an extra valence or modality to the activity. Okay, now that's the rich environment. Then we thought about, well, why don't we just look at the special case of just projecting on the floor? And as we walk around, there can be images that appear like shadows under your feet. So we did that. And then I asked it, but then people were also mesmerized by the patterns. They're just looking down on the floor. So I said, wow, that's not very social. So if you're trying to make a space that kind of animates life, breathes life into an event, which is what we were interested in, why don't we try the following? So I asked the video artist to invert the colors. Instead of black on white, white on black. And I asked yesterday, what would the effect be? But I'll go a little bit faster today and say, well, right now, they were looking at each other for the photograph, but really, in reality, what we were doing was looking on the floor. So when I asked the artist to flip right for dark, dark for light, suddenly we could see each other. Our bodies became illuminated. So we started just looking up. We right away started looking at each other. So that simple flip of inverting the image turned the space into, it has the same logic behind it, turned the space into something that augmented sociality. That is an example of what I call a phenomenological experiment. It actually changes the conditions of the experience, not the experience itself. People, in fact, we didn't write any, we didn't tell people what to do. We didn't say that this is a basketball game or this is a hide and seek game or anything. We just said, look around and walk around. So basically, all these techniques that I'm not really showing you so much of now, except at the beginning, were all these techniques to enhance the room. Let's see, the quality of the sound, the quality of the light, the air, even the humidity, the wind, let's say, when we had fans going, to do what we would call experiments. Okay. Now, what do I mean by experiment? It's basically, well, let's take a look here. Okay, let's take this part. Aesthetic is like the art, is the form part, right? What kind of colors, what kind of sounds, etc. But ethical is what's the right thing to do, right? But we combine this together. This is from Guattari. Here's Guattari. Okay. And this is not theater in the sense that it's not rehearsed. It's not something rehearsed for an audience. In fact, there is no audience sitting around looking at this. We're all in it, you see. So we are all performing and we are all observing, both. So that's a key difference here, is that we're not performing for somebody else not performing for us. We are the event. We are the event. We make the event, okay? We're not observing. think about it in terms of democracy, right? A political situation, right? Ideally, we're supposed to be participant in politics. We make the ways that we want to be governed by, in theory, right? Right. So, so, so these are the kind of hallmarks, we're looking at. It's really important that we're in a live situation, meaning we're present with each other. That it's important that we have bodies. It's not just a disembodied experience. We can sit behind a screen and talk with each other like we are doing right now, right? That involves thinking in terms of what's happening instead of an object-oriented ontology. Thinking about the world in terms of verbs than words. Also, think in terms of maybe the last two are more social, environmental. Oh, damn, I'm sorry. You know what? This noise is too much. Hang on. I'm going to come right back to the screen. I have a choice between breathing and having quiet. So I choose quiet over breathing. Okay, so now I have limited supply of oxygen. I hope I can last for another half an hour. Okay, all right, let's get, any questions? So let me just pause. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, this is really, it's bringing up a lot for me. I guess this isn't a question, but so I've done a lot of work in like bike advocacy spaces, and I've ridden bikes for years exclusively. And so one of the things we talk about a lot is just the like there's a lot of ridiculous architecture and engineering that's put out there that is ostensibly in support of bike use, and often so like they'll put a bike rack in, but they will put it in right up against like a building or a wall in such a way that you actually can't park your bike there. There's actually whole Twitter feeds just for that, right? And the ridiculousness of it. And so that's what's really coming up for me, is just why we talk about, you need to talk to the people, you need to be involved with the people who are doing the thing.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is something else I talked about with the people who worked in my lab. I mean, by the way, this is work of about 250 artists and engineers and writers and dancers over 25 years. So it's a credit to a lot of people. Okay, a lot of people, and so it's not obviously it's not my work, right? It's the work of a lot of people. And having said that, I always have certain kinds of how do you say this? Challenges of ways of working. One of them is what you're touching on. See, usually an architect, let's say, designs a space for somebody else to live in, right? Or a pharmaceutical researcher, right, makes a drug that probably maybe he or she might use it, but oftentimes it's a product to be sold for the market for other people to use. And an artist, right? A filmmaker might make some film for other people to watch, right? So it's always for somebody else. And I said, well, you know what? In China in the 1960s or so, I think there weren't enough doctors, so they trained a lot of what they call barefoot doctors. I don't know if anybody's heard of this, barefoot doctors, because they were not very well equipped. But they were taught the basics of vaccinations and birth control, this kind of thing, hygiene, and they went into the fields. They were also taught Chinese medicine. They were taught to do acupuncture, which is very effective for certain kinds of things like pain. Amazing things actually. So, but they were trained by the millions. These people. It wasn't like you could be an apprentice to a master for 25 years and you go out, like in those karate movies. No, they were trained quickly. So how did they learn? They tested on themselves. You learn really quickly how to do it correctly. If you practice acupuncture yourself. So I always remember that story. So so I said to the people, whatever we make, we had these amazing technologies in the labs. Think about what it would be like to actually live inside your creation. Make something that you would like to live in. Okay. And then later up the ante, say now think about making things that maybe your grandkids would like to live in, would find interesting to live in. Not just something that's interesting this week or this year. That's too high a bar, but it's something we aspire to. Okay. Yeah. Other comments?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. I'm not sure I'm understanding the like utility of calling it performance. Like I'm not sure I'm like fully understanding the way that you're using the word performance. And I was kind of confused about it reading that shorter reading as well. Because the like being in the thing makes sense, but performing is not always being in the thing. Like sometimes it is trying to be in the thing, but it's not actually being in the thing. Does that make sense?
Can you say more? Can you say, I think it's,
Well,
let me understand. Say more.
yeah, well, I guess so. I'm understanding kind of like, building with people and thinking about the idea of building as if you want to be in the creation that you're in. But, like I mentioned earlier in the semester that I dance professionally. And so as a performer also as like something, as a piece of what I do really regularly in my life, sometimes performing is like truly embodying and being in the experience, but sometimes it's just, there's a reason we call things performative, like when something is performative, sometimes it doesn't truly feel genuine. I mean, I think there's like two sides to what a performance can be, I guess. So I'm just trying to understand the use of like how you're using performance. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. This is a very core question, actually. I'm looking for something here. Okay.
I
Let's
guess,
get past the techniques.
Leah,
and
I'm
go
wondering when I hear, I'm thinking about what you're saying there. It, and you and I have a similar background, but I was thinking about this like musical performances as being fundamentally true, right? You can't, you're doing it, it's actually happening, right? And so I'm wondering what you think about that in regards to, like, there's a fundamental truth of actually dancing and doing music and whatever, it's just
Yep.
happening.
Yep. And let's pick up on the last point first. I think there's something very profound about this. I'm thinking like the logical knot, like two is bigger than one. Okay, true. Two is less than one, false. These are logical statements. And you can negate something, right? Logically negate. But I don't think, I don't negate the scissors, and I don't negate, I don't negate the act. I can undo. That's a different thing. I can throw this away, but that's different from logical negation. I can melt it down, whatever. But these are all just physical transformations, but it's not logical. Not logical. I totally agree. I mean, I think there's a profound difference between material activity, right, and logical relationships. And no, yeah, it's just a philosophical. It's not just a philosophical thing. I mean, I always want to say it's just, it's not. Why is it, why do I take away that kind of diminutive? Because computer technologies, computer technologies have been built on turning logic into electronics. So that now we have, this gigantic industry of algorithmic technologies that are built on this, on the fundamental operators, logical operators. And set theory, a little bit of set theory. And then they give us back these technologies to help us make decisions or record data. Okay, and in fact, to mediate conversations, even like this one. Okay, that's a whole nother talk and discussion about the unintended, unintended negative consequences of that kind of uh, materialization of logic. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff, which includes critiques of AI, which I won't go there today. Okay, we will. Coming back to performance and performativity. So yes, I will use it in a different sense than performing arts. Okay, but it is related. I mean, I'm learning a lot from theater and from people who do work in performing arts and movement arts, not in sense to create other pieces of theater, or dance, but to learn from how a choreographer, dancer uh, um, makes makes an event that's more heightened, more compelling for themselves, not for another, but for themselves. The actual act, creative act of making of something fresh. Right? Ah, this is really great. This is working. Da da da. Or now we're getting somewhere. I mean, I don't have the good vocabulary for it, but I witnessed this. Like I sit in the rehearsal halls, and even the word rehearsal is not right. We're talking about the moments of inventing a new uh, performance, a new gesture, new vocabulary, new ways of working with another body, et cetera, et cetera. And that's usually never talked about. Nobody outside that room. Okay. It's a very um, uh, sheltered kind of activity. But then you see this also with musicians, improvising musicians too. Or if you watch even classical, watch either a jazz or chamber music ensemble rehearsing together, they know the work already, but that's not, rehearsing in order to somehow be able to clue each other in, so you can read each other, so to speak, right? All that's beautiful. And that's what I'm learning from, learning about how do these kinds of such intimate, incredibly complex coordinations of attention and coordinations of intention work without words, without words.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
I'm seeing the distinction between creating performance for yourself versus creating performance for others. I guess that's the critical
Audience.
distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're referring to the like for
Yeah.
yourself, those like
For
creative.
yourself. Yeah,
Mm.
and then in other courses we have these readings from people like Peter Brook, the famous director who just passed away, or Jerzy Kotowski, Arten Anatol in Western theater. So anyway, there's been a few people who write very well about this kind of experience. It's beautiful work. Thank you. So now I go back to the slides and can show you some of the hallmarks of this thing. And I'm going to give us a bit more time for discussion, I'm going to skip over the techniques, which I showed yesterday, but I'll leave them in the recording. But just focus on kind of the hallmarks of these kinds of experimental experiences or experiential experiments. I have to say what that means, okay? So experiment is something, okay, if you do a performance, right, and normally, and I think it's we should be careful to distinguish watching or engaging in let's say contact improvisation or watching a dance or something like that from experiment. Those are not experiments, okay? Those experiments means to produce knowledge, all right, that you can write up and publish somewhere. Let's put it that way. But what about experiential experiments? So what they do learn from watching a live event is that in principle, you could get up, walk across the floor, put your hand on the performer and change the action, stop the action. Okay. So that kind of experiential, that it's involved, it's a bodily connection, embodied connection, or the potential body connection, right? And we're in the same event. Just really, quote crudely. So, and experiment would be something where we can repeat that. See, in other words, we can do it again and again and again. And um, the kind of experiments that we do in synthesis and topological media lab, where first of all, they were embodied, the collective, people together in the same place at the same time. Of course, augmented by all sorts of media technologies and sensors and wearables, etc. Um, and they were thick, meaning how, let's say classical, let's say psych experiment might be sit you in a chair, the room is kind of quiet, and they give you one percept to look at. Let's say if it's a psychovision experiment, they'll flash maybe a light at you, and then they look for a very particular kind of feedback. You click something, you tap something, you say something, right? So stimulus and response are very much restricted in their perceptual scope, let's say. And the conditions are very controlled. Whereas um, with real life, like this life is, there's a gigantic crane being cranked outside my window, and I didn't plan for that one. Or it's a certain temperature and everything's going at the same time. This light working, this humming coming from the air conditioning. actually dot air conditioning, fan, et cetera, et cetera. So there's this thickness of life. And if I were sitting in a cafe, there'd be all this other conversations happening too. That's the world that's thick, okay, socially thick. In theater, it's not as thick as that, but it doesn't try to, I would say that in our theater, we try to uh, condense or out of the thickness of regular life, um, condensates of essential relationships from the lived life. Okay, so, but we don't white out the experience of the audience to just one perception, one stimulus, and one response. Okay, so in other words, the way the body works, the way the attention wanders can go free, but it is channeled absolutely by the force of the activities. Okay, now what we do with our technologies is to change the conditions of the experience, not the experience itself. So unlike Disney, where you ride the same ride, you see the same puppets, animatronics, hear the same songs at the same moments. But instead, we can change the conditions so that maybe, for example, we change the acoustics. So right now, the acoustics are just like this in my room. But using our techniques, we can change the apparent acoustics of the space. So it sounds like a cathedral, a lot of reverb. But we don't tell people what to do. Let me just talk with you. If I go like this right now, this room has a certain amount of dead sound, okay, just kind of walls. But I could, if I had the time, right, line the walls with all hardwood, it'd be a lot more reverberant. Or I could put heavy drapes on those walls, it become much more muffled. With our computer technologies, we can change the apparent acoustics of this very space so that this clap would sound different to you. Okay. Now, we don't tell our people in the room what to do. We can say, do what you want, have lunch, plan your next meeting, have a kid read a story. So the activity is open and not so prescribed. But we can change the conditions of that experiment. This is now more reverberant space, more live space, more muffled space. We can change the lighting so that maybe as people gather together, the lighting becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger because we have the technologies to do that. You can sense that. But we don't tell people what to do under those conditions. Now, this is what architects do, right? Architects build a big plaza. They don't tell people how to walk through that plaza. They just build a big plaza with enough lighting and seating, right? So that's why the kind of work that we do with media technologies is more like what an architect does rather than a painter or, okay. That's one difference when we talk about experiential experiments and experimental experience. Oh, experimental experience, the other way around, okay. It's like, we do things out of habit, right? It's like get in the car and drive from home to an office, whatever, every day, let's say. But experimental experience would be like trying something different than what you habitually do. And can we somehow, what can we do to enable people to engage in experimenting with their experience in a way that they can? These are two things. Okay. Comments, questions? I should mention the last two bullet points here, non-anthropocentric and minimax. Non-anthropocentric means just don't assume that humans are the most important species in the universe. It's easy to say, but sometimes hard to remember. I mean, after all, we're humans. I'm humans. So, we are, that's not to say not to be humane or anthropomorphic. We cannot avoid being anthropomorphic, but we can think about not being anthropocentric. That's the difference, right? Minimax is a very practical design method where basically, if you want to affect some change in the environment as a designer of some sort or experimentalist, what can you do with no electricity? First step, no electricity. And then I say, okay, you still haven't achieved what you want to achieve in terms of the effect. I'll give you electricity. You can plug something into the wall, a fan, a lamp. Okay. You still haven't done that, haven't achieved everything you want to achieve. Then okay, we'll use software. You can do some coding of algorithms. And still doesn't work, get some electronics, et cetera, et cetera. So you can go into progressively more investment of technical expertise, but starting with the analog. You can save a lot of time and money that way. That's just a practical thing.
Ready when you are.
What I'm going to show next, I'll jump. I'm sorry, but you know, let's see. This is work at Synthesis Center at ASU, where we worked with the National Centers for Atmospheric Research, and we took the weather models from published literature in weather and climate science, and we made them real time at scale, so the body scale, so that when you walk across the floor, I'll put it back to the beginning again here, right? You're actually stirring up the simulation so that your body motion is interpreted as mass of air, as humidity, as temperature, as a bunch of heat, etc. So can you hear the music? There's some music here. Piano music and other music. So basically we can voice the sound you hear, the musical sounds, none of it's recorded, okay? It's all synthesized in real time according to the dynamics of flow of the gases and particles in that model, in that simulation. So that means that, you know, as we walk around, for example, a few steps, we might be walking as if we're walking across 200 miles in the weather model, in weather simulation. And we're introducing heat just by sitting there. I mean, virtual heat, right? And we can put any objects on the floor that can be detected by the camera, and they turn into landscape. They turn into mountains. They turn into buildings, okay? As we're improvising here. So we can improvise landscapes, we can improvise cities, we can improvise full natural features of the surface of the planet. The sound can be voiced by any means. I mean, we have literally unboundedly many kinds of techniques for soundifying the movement of the atmosphere. This model. So sometimes you might hear piano sound, but the piano sound in this case is generated not by the body's motion, that would be musical performance, but by the dynamics of the air itself, of the atmosphere itself. So it's the atmosphere that's being voiced in this sounds. Okay. So we use this for scientific purposes to see, okay, instead of having scientists look at a representation of the atmosphere, what does it feel like to be atmosphere, to become atmosphere? Okay, so this then puts the scientist into a performative, engaged, embodied, performative relationship with the phenomenon, rather than standing outside of God, looking down on the planet. Okay. We've also worked with dancers using the same systems. So we've worked with musicians and so on. There's a different part where the question is, we read some articles about plant biology, right? So that's from the scientific point of view. So we also work with choreographers for thinking, what would it be like to not to be a plant, but to relate to other moving bodies and to relate to atmosphere, to the ground as more as a plant would. And this is very, very early work, so it's still very dancerly. If you look at the background there, the white patterns in the background and the music, the motion of the vectors there is being driven by the action, by the movement of the bodies of the dancers, and simultaneously the time lapse of plants. And in the future version that we're going to do with Sarah project, we're going to change the perspective so that when you walk into a space, you'll be looking at the world around you as if you were 6 to 12 inches high as ground cover, from a perspective of a ground plant. But here the dynamics are coming from the joint action of both human bodies and plant bodies together. That was very early work. Okay, and then another project which is very different than those two others is a project about ontogenesis. This is work with some people from theoretical biology, from mathematics, from English literature, different areas, ethnography, where we're looking at the question, the phenomena of how things emerge, the ontogenesis, how stuff emerges in all sorts of situations, whether it's economics or language or whatever. So that's another project from our synthesis center. But let me go to readdress the question I think that Leo was bringing up before. Okay. And since we'd like to connect those kinds of research with applications now. So let me pause. Any questions so far about this kind of research projects? Just sort of.
I have several, but maybe it makes sense for you to return to the performance question first, and then maybe it'll answer some.
Well, shoot, why don't you elaborate?
Well, maybe they're not so much questions. Well, yeah, they are, I guess. I don't know.
A thought.
Yeah. No, they are questions. I'm curious. I mean, clearly you're not just creating these experiences for the sake of like scientists stepping into something from a new perspective. But I guess like as I'm watching, I mean, you mentioned the like what would it feel like to actually be atmospheric? This train of thought is difficult to follow. I guess, like it's okay, all right, I'm gonna start over, sorry. Just yesterday, I was reading an article for another class and having a discussion about what it would mean to think of data as like much more physically linked to our bodies, because my work is in data and health data. And so as I'm watching this, I guess I'm thinking like, is there ways, I mean, it's not going to solve all our problems, but I wonder like if there are ways to kind of use performance to step into data, like to like physicalize the way that we collect information on our bodies, to like bring it back to our bodies. So I feel like that's kind of the thought process I'm having.
Yes.
But I'm also, I don't know, but I am also skeptical about whether that would actually get people like creating data infrastructures to really think about the physicalization, or if it would just be like a separate experience altogether. So I guess maybe if you have comments on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is oh boy, I mean, it's a whole several lifetimes of questions, right? Because this is field called data, what is it called? Data visualization, data viz, and data summification, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I used to do that kind of stuff starting out in my career, and it was fun. But the thing is that it either, in a sense, it seems like either it's too abstract or it's too much. It can be kind of either just tip over to either be, or kind of like eye candy, so that it kind of mesmerizes people because it's so beautiful, but then really don't really come away either with more understanding or really changing anything. How you're going to act. Really, it's eye candy. And so that's why I went to theater. I was thinking about Antonin Artaud's writing about theater, and he said, what do you want for theater of his day? This is post-war World War II French theater. He was very critical of the what he called the tyranny of literature. These brilliant writers who could just mesmerize us with their words, and actors were just there on stage to just enact, just to recite the lines, But people come out of the theater feeling good about themselves and say, hey, wow, we couldn't understand the literature, the fancy talk, but they go back to their, nice little chateaus in the country. Everything's still the same as before. He said, no, I want theater to have the power of the plague. He used the very hyperbolic imagery. The power of the plague that would leave as deep an imprint on you as the Black Death would have on your body. I mean, he was very hyperbolic. But it wasn't about cruelty. It wasn't about cruelty. He called it the theater of cruelty. But what he meant by that was that great theater should have the same kind of implacableness on us as a hurricane, as a mountain, as an ocean, or even as just any physical object. It's implacable. That kind of implacability. So it's not subject to the whim of the writer to say anything he or she wants, okay? Or the whim of the anthropocentric designer. So that's one. so that's one why. And the other thing was Peter Brook, sorry, Jerzy Grotowski was saying about theater. He said, we'll never compete with film. This is back in the 60s or 70s, I guess. And he said, we'll never compete with film because film has just all the budgets. They can make whole worlds, and they can throw bundles of money at it. Theater, he said, what theater should do, he called it poor theater, was to be able to take the minimal elements like a single broomstick or a plank of wood or a wheelbarrow, and then at the speed of thought, change all the symbolic attachments we have around that. So he had these plays. We have a broom brought in by one actor, and just at the speed of their conversation turns into a sword, the body of a lover, the crucifix on which Christ was crucified, bang, 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 bang. And so that's the kind of power that theater can have. This is kind of accretion of extra symbolic uh, charge that any object or body or relationship can have. So anyway, so that's another inspiration for this work. And but it's not about making theater. It's not about making more theater for us. I mean, it's to learn how that works and then transport it to other situations. So those kind of data methods that we have so much data. We can make so many pretty pictures for it. In a sense, it's like big cinema for me. All the VR stuff, virtual reality stuff, a lot of games with hundreds of millions of dollars put behind it. They're kind of spectacles, which can stop thought instead of enabling us to think in a different way. This is my rant. My rant. I think I answered completely your thought, but
no, that's great. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, but that's really useful. Can I ask who the writer was that wrote about theater as a hurricane?
Or like, Antonin Artaud, Antonin and then the other person I mentioned, Jerzy Grotowski, amazing Grotowski. Okay, these are two of the four greatest directors in European theater since World War II, I think. Anyway, so I'll put up links to this. Let me jump to applications. Oh no, it's 2:00. We're out of time. Oh, do you have another 5 minutes? Some of you? I want to show you kind of the punchline. Okay, sorry. Punchline. Wicked problems. Okay. One of my favorite phrases from notions from business circles and risk management worlds. Okay, somebody want to tell us what's called a wicked problem from from the professional world, either it's business or infrastructures, or what generally what people call wicked problems?
Well, a wicked problem is one where there's so much input that you change one thing trying to solve some particular problem, it causes impacts across the system that create worse problems maybe, or so it happens a lot with planning. We talk about wicked problems. So
absolutely. And some examples, what would people think of as some examples of wicked problems? Anyway, we have a lot of them.
So I do a lot of urban heat island analysis, and that's something that we talk about as a wicked problem quite a lot, because there's, the health impacts are very dangerous and people need to cool down. A lot of the cooling that people have access to actually makes the problem worse. These kinds of things. And then also the a lot of times we'll do greenhouse gas emissions. We shift it from one place, but we just move it. We just move the problem, right?
Yes.
That's another thing.
Yep, move the problem somewhere else. Okay. And thinking about entropy stuff that we thought of before about increasing disorder outside the local system, et cetera, right? Might make certain kinds of wickednesses unavoidable. So in a sense, that gives us kind of a clue. I mean, other things would be like climate change or war, or maybe food security, okay, or the persistent imbalance of access to benefits for women in many countries in the planet that UNDP is trying, United Nations is trying to address. Okay, these are wicked problems. So to formalize a little bit, some of the kinds of properties that planners have pointed to would be these kinds of things. I think that Tanya was pointing to, like every solution, a solution tends to introduce more wicked problems. A solution to a wicked problem can itself cause more wicked problems. And wicked problems, I think I should start with, that wicked problems are really not solvable. And they're not problems that admit a finite, quick, finite, bounded solution. They just don't. Um, um, uh, Another one I add is that maybe one way to, any way you have to describe a wicked problem, whether it's through words or equations or pictures, is going to only capture certain aspects and omit every other aspect. Okay. Also, you might think you have a solution to a wicked problem in maybe most of it, but then it doesn't help you solve any other wicked problem. They don't generalize. Okay. Another one is that you can't test it. The only way to try out a solution is to do it. Certain things like that. Okay, think about examples like peace, conflict resolution negotiations, the war between Ukraine and Soviet and Russia, Russia. And also my favorite is this one, that the people who are trying to solve the wicked problem are oftentimes part of the problem. So something to induce humility. So given that, I was proposing last year at ASU to Global Future, saying, well, maybe we should keep in mind certain wicked problems like mortality, and maybe trying to solve mortality, as some of the tycoons of the Silicon Valley wants to do, might cause more wicked problems. Actually, trying to become immortal. Also, different question of difference, as we know from political theory, this idea that difference is fundamental. Yes, okay, but it's probably not a problem, but it's just a way. It's a effect of the diversity of experience and the fact that we don't inhabit one value framework. We just don't, and that's okay. That's just what it is. Okay, how do we live with that? And this is a master wicked problem that Gary Dirks at ASU has proposed. I learned a lot from him at ASU. He's saying, look, people with incommensurate value frameworks, well, just reasonably disagree. What is to be done? Even gather people together. We all want to work together. We're good. We're there in good faith and goodwill. But if we don't assume that people have the same value framework, we cannot expect them to agree on what is to be done. Just can't. All right. We'll disagree. Okay, so just take that as let's not assume that we're going to have some magic epistemic shared framework or understanding that enough data, enough science is going to have people magically agree. Okay, so then what? That's my final frame. Is that, which is again why I went back to looking at theater in Greece, which is, see, Plato, which I skipped today, put the writers outside the category of people you trust. Writers, because writers and artists dealt with fiction. So don't trust them. You should listen to the philosophers who deal with truth. But still, the Greeks had their theater, right? Famous example being Antigone, the famous play by Sophocles about the girl who wanted to bury her brother in defiance of the king of Thebes, Creon, who then ordered her put to death because of her disloyalty to the state. And this is a great tragedy of theater, Greek theater, one of the great plays of theater, which show the incommensurate, irresolvable conflict between loyalty to your family, loyalty to your nation, and loyalty to the gods. But these are irresolvable. And yet, experiencing that kind of theater, people gather together. This is a classic model Greek. The whole city will gather together, encounter this irresolvable kinds of conflicts, right? But then reimagine themselves, reimagine their life world, the city of Athens, and then go back into the world to enact some of those imaginations. So it's in that spirit I wanted to appeal to kind of a 21st century kind of ways of collectively bringing people together to reimagine, also to enact alternatives to what is the case. And Leah, your observations are right in the heart of it. So, thank you. I think we're out of time. I'm sorry, but if we talk some more, we can also set up one-to-one times to talk to. Okay. All right.
Great.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, can I ask a question? Oh, sorry.